The Tortoise and the Hare. Once upon a time, in a quiet green forest where the leaves danced in the wind, there lived a very fast hare and a very slow tortoise. The hare loved to run, he loved to hop, skip, and jump, and he loved to tell everyone how fast he was. "I'm the fastest animal in this whole forest," he shouted one morning. "I can beat anyone in a race, anytime, anywhere." The tortoise looked up slowly with a gentle smile on his face and said softly, "Let's have a race, you and me." The forest animals stopped and stared. "A race?" they giggled. "Between the fast hare and the slow tortoise?" The hare laughed loudly. "You? Race me? That's funny." But the tortoise nodded. "Yes, I may be slow, but I never stop. I always keep going." The animals set up a race path from the tall oak tree to the big rock at the edge of the forest. "Ready, set, go." And off they went. The hare ran so fast. Zoom! He dashed ahead, flying over flowers and pebbles. He looked back and saw the tortoise way, way back, moving slowly, step by step. "Ha ha!" laughed the hare. "I have so much time, I think I'll take a nap right here under this shady tree." So the hare lay down, stretched his legs, and in just a few seconds, he was fast asleep. But the tortoise didn't stop. He walked slowly, but he kept walking. One step, then another, then another. He didn't look back, he didn't worry, he just kept going. Step by step, inch by inch, with a big heart and tiny feet. Time passed, the wind blew, the leaves danced, and finally the tortoise came near the finish line. Just then, the hare woke up. "Oh no," he shouted. "The tortoise, he's almost there." The hare jumped up and ran as fast as he could, but it was too late. The tortoise had already crossed the finish line. The forest animals clapped and cheered. They were so happy for the tortoise. The hare hung his head and said quietly, "I thought I was the best, just because I was fast, but I was wrong." The tortoise smiled and said kindly, "You should never laugh at others and never think someone can't do it, just because they're slow." Moral of the story: never be too proud. Don't underestimate anyone. Always try your best, because slow and steady can still win the race.
The Lion and the Mouse. Once upon a time, in a quiet green forest where the trees whispered gently in the wind, a mighty lion lay fast asleep beneath the shade of a large tree. His golden mane moved with the breeze. His eyes were closed, and his big paws stretched peacefully over the soft grass. All around him, the forest was still. Birds chirped softly, and butterflies danced in the warm sunlight. Not far away, a tiny brown mouse was looking for food. She tiptoed over twigs and leaves, searching for crumbs and seeds. She was in such a hurry that she didn't see the lion sleeping in her path. Before she could stop herself, she ran right across his huge paw. The lion's eyes opened wide. He gave a loud growl and caught the little mouse gently under his paw. The forest fell silent. The mouse froze. She looked up, her tiny body trembling. The lion leaned closer. "Who woke me from my sleep?" he growled. The mouse spoke softly. "I'm sorry, I didn't mean to wake you. Please let me go, and one day I'll help you if I can." The lion blinked in surprise. "You help me?" he said. "You're just a tiny mouse." But the mouse's eyes were kind and honest. The lion paused. "Go on then," he said. "But be careful where you run." The mouse smiled and scurried away, safe and thankful. Many days later, the lion was walking through the forest, when suddenly, snap! A hunter's trap sprang up around him. Strong ropes wrapped around his legs and body. He roared and struggled, but he couldn't escape. His loud cries echoed through the forest. The little mouse heard him. She followed the sound, and soon reached the lion. There he was, tangled in ropes, his eyes filled with worry. Without a word, the mouse climbed up the net and began to chew. She nibbled one rope, then another, until one by one, they began to break. Finally, the last rope snapped. The lion stood up, free again. He looked down at the little mouse. She was smiling, her eyes bright with pride. "You kept your promise," the lion said. "And you saved me. Even the smallest friend can make a big difference." The mouse nodded. From that day on, the lion and the mouse became true friends. Moral of the story: be kind to others. Even the smallest friend can make a big difference. Never laugh at someone just because they're small. Helping others always comes back in a good way. Thank you.
The Crow and the Pitcher. Once upon a time, on a hot summer day, a thirsty crow flew across the sky, looking for water. "Caw! Caw!" he cried, flapping his wings slowly. The sun was high, and the land was dry. He searched and searched, but every stream and puddle was dry. Just when he was about to give up, he spotted something, a pitcher, sitting near a farmhouse, under a shady tree. The crow flew down quickly. He looked inside the pitcher. Yes, there was water at the bottom. But oh no, the water was too low. His beak couldn't reach it. The crow looked around. He thought hard. He didn't give up. "I need to be clever," said the crow. Then he saw some small pebbles on the ground. The crow had an idea. A clever, smart idea. The crow picked up a pebble and dropped it into the pitcher. He picked another and another. One by one, he dropped pebble after pebble into the pitcher. And guess what? The water began to rise, higher and higher, until the crow could finally reach it. Sip, sip, he drank the cool, fresh water. Ah, that felt so good. The crow smiled. He had solved the problem, not with strength, but with smart thinking. Moral of the story: don't give up, stay calm, think smart. You can solve any problem. The Bundle of Sticks. Once upon a time, in a quiet little village, there lived an old man who had 3 sons. His sons were strong and smart, but they argued all the time. They argued about chores, about food, about who was right and who was wrong. They just couldn't agree on anything. The old man grew tired and sad, watching them fight every day. He tried to tell them, "Don't waste your strength on fighting. Use it to help each other." But they didn't listen. One morning, he had an idea. He called his sons together and gave each one a single stick. "Break it," he said. Snap! Each stick broke easily. Then, he tied a bunch of sticks together into a thick bundle. "Now try to break this," he said with a gentle smile. Each son tried, pushing, pulling, twisting, but the bundle would not break. The old man looked at them kindly. "Do you see?" he said. "Alone you are weak, but together you are strong. Stay united. Help each other. That is how you grow and never fall." The brothers finally understood. From that day on, they worked together, they shared, they helped one another. And the old man smiled, knowing his family was strong. Moral of the story: stay together, don't fight. Help each other, do what's right. Be a team, strong and kind. Unity is power. Keep that in mind.
The Fox and the Grapes. Once upon a time, in a peaceful, quiet forest, where the wind whispered through the trees, there lived a little fox. He had soft orange fur, bright eyes, and a clever little nose. One warm afternoon, as the sun peeked through the leaves, the fox went out for a stroll. His tummy made a soft growl. "Oh dear," he said, "I need something tasty to eat." He sniffed the air, looked left, then right, and trotted along the forest path. Soon he spotted a grapevine, twisting and curling high above his head. And hanging from the vine was a bunch of grapes, big, round, shiny purple grapes, glowing in the sunlight. "Wow," said the fox. "They look so juicy. I must have them." He stood up tall, jumped as high as he could, but the grapes were just out of reach. He tried again, jump, and again, jump. He even took a few steps back, ran forward, and leapt into the air with all his might. But still, no grapes. He panted, he puffed, he looked up one more time. Then he said, "Pfft, those grapes must be sour anyway." He turned around slowly, his tail swishing behind him, and walked away into the forest. But deep in his heart, he still wished he could have had just one bite. And what did we learn from this story? It's easy to say something is bad when we can't have it, but it's kinder and wiser to try again another day or find a new dream to follow.
The Ant and the Grasshopper. Once upon a time, in a quiet green meadow, lived a tiny little ant and a cheerful grasshopper. Every morning, the ant woke up early. She carried food, one small piece at a time, back to her cozy little home under a rock. She worked slowly, carefully, saving seeds, grains, and leaves for the cold winter days that would soon come. But the grasshopper, he loved to sing and play. He strummed his fiddle, danced in the sunshine, and laughed as the wind tickled the tall grass. "Why do you work so much?" the grasshopper asked with a smile. "Come sing with me, come dance, forget the work for now." The ant paused, looked up kindly, and said softly, "I'm getting ready. Winter will come, and I must be prepared." But the grasshopper just laughed. "Oh, winter's far away. There's still time to play." So he played while the ant worked day by day, grain by grain, with tiny footsteps and steady strength. Then one morning, the sky turned gray. The wind blew strong, and snow began to fall, quietly, all around. The meadow was no longer green, but white and cold and quiet. The grasshopper had no food. His fiddle was still, his tummy growled, his wings shivered in the cold. He knocked gently on the ant's door. "Dear Aunt, I'm cold, I'm hungry, I didn't prepare for winter," he whispered sadly. The ant looked at him and opened her door. She gave him a warm place to rest and shared her food little by little. But she also spoke gently. "Next time, remember, there is a time to play and a time to prepare." So the story teaches us, learn a little every day so things feel easier later. Prepare slowly and calmly to be ready when it matters. Save a little now so you'll have enough when you need it.
The Boy Who Cried Wolf. Once upon a time, in a quiet little village, there lived a young boy who watched over the sheep. Each morning, he led the sheep up the grassy hill, and each evening he brought them home safely. It was peaceful, calm, sometimes a little lonely, and sometimes the boy got bored. One sunny afternoon, he had an idea, a silly one. He stood up and shouted toward the village, "Wolf, wolf, there's a wolf chasing the sheep." The villagers were shocked. They dropped everything and ran up the hill. But when they arrived, there was no wolf, just the boy giggling. "It was only a joke," he said, smiling. The villagers sighed. "That's not something to joke about," they said softly. And they walked back home. A few days later, the boy got bored again, and once more he cried out, "Wolf, wolf, help! A wolf is coming." The villagers rushed to help, but again, no wolf, just the boy, laughing quietly to himself. The villagers frowned this time. "Please don't lie," they said. "We won't believe you next time." And they turned around and left. Then one evening, as the sky turned orange and pink, a real wolf came out from the woods. Its eyes were sharp, its teeth were big, and it crept toward the sheep. The boy was terrified. He jumped up and shouted, "Wolf, wolf, please help!" But no one came. The villagers had heard that cry too many times, and they didn't believe him anymore. The next morning, they found the boy sitting sadly by the hill. His eyes were full of regret, and the sheep were gone. "I'm sorry," he said softly. "I lied too many times, and now no one believed me when it really mattered." The villagers sat with him and helped him back to the village. And from that day on, the boy never told a lie again, because he had learned something very important. Moral of the story: always tell the truth, because if you lie, no one will believe you when it really matters. The Fox and the Crow. On a warm, sunny morning, the sky was blue, and the trees were swaying softly in the breeze. Birds were singing, and the forest was calm and peaceful. In the middle of the forest, on a big old tree, a black crow was flying around, looking for breakfast. Suddenly, she found a big piece of cheese left behind on a picnic table nearby. Oh, what a lucky day, she thought. She picked up the cheese with her beak and flew up to her favorite tree branch high above the ground to enjoy it alone. Just then, a sly fox was walking through the forest path. His tummy was rumbling with hunger. He looked up and saw the crow sitting on the branch with the delicious cheese in her beak. The fox licked his lips and thought of a clever plan. He sat beneath the tree and looked up with a sweet smile. "Oh, beautiful crow," he said kindly, "your feathers are so shiny, and your eyes sparkle like stars." The crow looked at him, but said nothing. She held her cheese tightly in her beak. The fox continued, "I've heard your voice is the most beautiful in the forest. Would you please sing a little song for me?" The crow felt proud. Her chest puffed up. She wanted to sing the sweetest song. So she opened her beak wide, but oh no, the cheese fell right down into the fox's mouth. The fox caught it quickly, chewed happily, and said with a grin, "Thank you for the lovely song and the tasty treat." He ran off into the woods, while the poor crow sat in silence, feeling silly and sad. Moral of the story: be careful when someone flatters you too much. Sometimes they only want something from you. The Bear and the Two Travelers. Once upon a time, on a calm and peaceful afternoon, two close friends were taking a slow, quiet walk through a deep green forest. The leaves rustled gently in the breeze, and sunlight danced between the trees, making everything feel warm and safe. Birds sang soft little songs from the branches above, and the friends talked, laughed, and enjoyed each other's company as they followed the winding path through the woods. They didn't know it yet, but something was waiting, something that would test their friendship in a way they never imagined. As they strolled down the leafy path, they suddenly heard a rustling in the bushes. They stopped and listened. Out from the trees came a huge brown bear, sniffing the air and slowly stepping forward. One friend, without a word, quickly climbed up a tall tree. He didn't help. He didn't even look back. The other friend, who couldn't climb, lay down on the ground and stayed very still. He remembered something someone once told him. Bears won't bother with people who seem lifeless. So he closed his eyes, held his breath, and didn't move at all. The bear came close, sniffed his ears, his face, his neck. But the boy stayed perfectly still. After a long pause, the bear gave a loud snort and wandered back into the woods. When all was quiet again, the friend from the tree climbed down. He laughed nervously and said, "Wow, that was close. Hey, what did the bear whisper in your ear?" The boy looked at him quietly and said, "He told me, never travel with a friend who runs away when you need him most." Moral of the story: if your friend is in trouble, You should always stay by their side. Never leave someone behind when they need you the most. That's what true friendship means. The dog and his reflection. Once upon a time, in a quiet little village, there lived a happy dog. He had soft brown fur, a waggy tail, and bright, curious eyes. One morning, as the sun rose over the trees, the dog went out for a walk. He sniffed the grass, he chased a butterfly, and then he found something wonderful. Right there, under a shady tree, was a big, juicy bone. "Oh, wow!" the dog barked with joy. "This is the best bone ever." He picked it up gently in his mouth, held it proudly between his teeth, and trotted off. He passed houses and fields. Birds sang in the trees. The breeze was soft. All was peaceful. Soon he came to a small wooden bridge that crossed over a calm, still river. The dog paused. He looked down over the edge, and there, in the water below, he saw another dog. This dog looked just like him. Brown fur, waggy tail, and a big bone in its mouth. The dog stopped. He tilted his head. He stared. He thought. That dog has a bone too. But wait, his bone looks even bigger and yummier. The dog wanted that bone, so, without thinking twice, he growled softly, then barked, "Woof!" And just like that, the bone in his mouth fell right into the river. Splash! He gasped. He looked down. The other dog was gone. So was the bone. All that remained was the gentle ripple of water. He had barked at his own reflection and lost his very own bone. The dog sat down slowly. "Oh no," he sighed. "That wasn't another dog. That was me." He looked at the water one more time and gave a quiet little whimper. From that day on, the dog was wiser. He never barked at his reflection again, and he never took what he had for granted. Moral of the story: be happy with what you have. Greed can make you lose even more.